The new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amokuton, senior advocate of Nigeria, has said the country could no longer afford a situation where the courts will continue to decide winners of elections. Amokuton said elections must be won and lost at the polling units. Amokuton expressed his determination to work towards reducing pre-election litigations in Nigeria. He urged legal experts to work with the Commission to reform the electoral system, insisting that the courts could not continue to determine elections. He said elections will be won at the polling units if a proper legal framework was put in place. He reaffirmed his commitment to uphold integrity, fairness, and transparency in Nigeria's electoral process, while promising to curb the rising tide of pre-election litigations, which he said have long burdened Nigeria's electoral process. He pointed out that if necessary reforms were made, losers in elections would not hesitate to congratulate the winners. Joining us on the show to discuss the new INEC chairman's declaration is Professor Auwalu Yadudu, a constitutional lawyer and Vice Chancellor of the Federal University, Benin Kebbi, Kebbi State. Good morning, Prof, and good to have you on the morning show.
A very good morning to you, Dr. Abati.
Morning, sir. Well, Prof, the new INEC chairman, Professor Amokuton, he said it's better that the elections are won and lost at the polls rather than in the courts, and that is determined to ensure free, credible, and fair elections, and also ensure that litigations are reduced. But do you think that that promise, that ambition, that aspiration is feasible, given the prevailing culture of politics in Nigeria, where people resort to do or die, and they say, go to court. It's better to win by hook or crook, and then go to court. What do you say to the ambition of the new INEC chairman?
Well, unfortunately, I'd like to disagree with him. I think currently electoral cases are not, elections are not decided by court as such. And if at all courts have any role to do with elections, it is not that they grab a matter before them and insist that they must decide it. Why the electoral disputes go to court is because the actors are not comfortable with the outcomes, either at primary stage or when the election has been conducted. So, to me, I think it is not within his remit to decide or even to insist that elections are decided exceptionally or maybe only as the polling booth. Indeed, elections are decided at the ballot box. Why disputes go to court is because politicians are uncomfortable. They are not agreeable to either the outcome of the primary election leading to the actual election, or some rules and regulations, some steps, some procedures that are necessary to conduct an election are not followed. And elections is not only a matter for casting a ballot. It has to be done according to law. And if there is any breach of a legal process, the only way to decide that is to go to a court. I'd like to emphasize, you have to be fair to courts. Courts are not deciding disputes on their own, so motu. Their jurisdiction is invoked, and disputes are discussed before them, and cases met, and they have to rule on the basis of the law argued before them.
All right, thank you very much for your point on this. But one of the reasons why, as has been established, the percentage of court cases, election court cases, have increased over the years. I mean, it became better under Professor Jega, but increased again under Professor Yakubu, is the fact that the process is said not to be free, fair, and credible. Perhaps that's why the statement made by the INEC chairman was done. However, I'd like to ask you, as Vice Chancellor, one of the criticisms of the unfairness of elections is the conduct of the state recs, many of whom are vice chancellors like yourself. And some people have even said, let's do away with them. They are part of the problem. They have not been, they haven't done well when it comes to overseeing elections in the state. What do you have to say about this? And what are the key challenges that some of you face when it comes to election season?
Well, what I have to say is what I have earlier said, which is that the returning officers at some level are not vice chancellors as such. What they read is what has been brought before them, what has been collated at the different stages of the electoral process. They don't cook up the numbers. They only read out what has been collated and they make a declaration one or another. I agree with you. There can be rogue regional electoral commissioners, as we have seen in the case of one in Adamawa State who went berserk and decided to declare without authority the winner of an election. To me, I do not see the role of professors and university lecturers, including vice chancellors, really engaging in the process of collating an election and not really conducting and presiding over election at the polling booth. That's not their job. What they do is to collate and to announce and to make a declaration based on information brought before them. So they do not cook the figures, but I agree with you that there can be rogue electoral commissioners, as we have seen in the case of, and unfortunately, INEC has no control over electoral commissioners because they do not appoint them and they do not report to them and they do not exercise any disciplinary action over them. So, and as to your issue that electoral disputes have increased in volume over the years, it has less, in my view, to do with who presides over the conduct election manager, but more to do with the actors. An individual who has contested an election felt he was unfairly cheated out, the procedure was not followed, the law was violated. The only recourse he has is to seek for a determination by a court of law, and he has a perfect basis to do so, because the Constitution gives them the power to do so. So it is not so much that courts are just shopping around and asking for more cases to be brought to them to decide.
All right, let me just ask a question around just the first question, sir. And that is, when you talk about, they announce what is given to them, so almost taking away responsibility from the returning officers. I want to use a case in point, what happened in Abia State, where Professor Oti was adamant that she was not going to bow to pressure. And we have seen in other states, Adamawa, like you cited, where some of the returning officers have contributed to this non-credible elections you've talked about. I would really like for, you being part of the constituents, to maybe address some of the ways we can make it better, or the maybe punitive measures, as you suggested earlier, that you can recommend to ensure that the process is free and fair, and that, academics like yourselves would also uphold electoral processes in the states where they are returning officers.
Well, Madam, I just for the sake of correction, I am not a vice chancellor. Never was. I was appointed, but I didn't take up the job. Now, having said that, I'd like to say that I think I'd like to extend a measure of courtesy and responsibility to the various people who are called upon to make what I will call perfunctory role of making a determination. But I don't think if you brought in police officers to discharge the role that professors now discharge, it is going to be any better. Or if you brought civil servants. Before, it was civil servants who made such a coalition make a declaration. I think we should not blame the tool. We should blame ourselves the way things work out. Of course, you're right. one can make recommendations one way or another to improve on things. I would like to see the Constitution and the Electoral Act amended in such a manner that it makes resident electoral commissioners and any other election officials answerable to the national election manager. That way they will be able to take charge, they will be able to exercise disciplinary control, and that there has to be a very exerted and well organized way of dealing with election malpractices. I don't think really you should blame what has happened and the fact that cases stream to court because of professors or returning officers.
Okay. Real quickly, I'd like to get your reaction to Governor Soludo and what he said during the campaign, where he said that people that do well in the elections will be induced that can win wards. What should be done concerning that? What do you think INEC should do? What should all of us as a nation do as regards a governor that's participating in an election very soon, openly leading the way for inducement of an election? What should be done?
Well, it's a very tough call to make. I didn't hear what Governor Soludo said. The inducement, is it the voters are induced or the electoral managers are induced? Definitely.
No, it's the voters and his election managers. He said if they win a polling unit, he will give them XY millions of naira. So that's what he said, and he said it openly.
Well, yes, I don't know about what he gives to returning officers, election managers. I do know, and I can vouch his statement that voters are induced, and induced in a manner that is even ridiculous, in the manner that you dish out a cup of gari for them or a few naira for them to sway the election one or another and not to be guided. And of course, in that case, you need to educate the electorate, and you need to have people who are principled and that who, even when they are approached by those who are conversing for election, they can get whatever it is that they are given and really allow their conscience to act on them. I must say, I have not been an election manager. I have not participated in any returns, and therefore I am unable to speak authoritatively about whether or not returning officers are influenced one way or another to make a determination. But I think, again, we should not be beating about the bush. You see, an election that is conducted has a paper trail. And when you do this election, there are sheets of returns made at different levels, from the ward level to state level and to the federal level.
Okay,
I don't
Prof.
think that elections are swayed in a manner in total disregard to this paper trail that one can see about who has scored what votes at what stages, and whether or not he or she is entitled to be declared a winner. I think we should be making too generalized an opinion to say that electoral returning officers sway an election one or another in a manner that somebody who has been trounced virtually can be suddenly declared a winner by someone who has taken money from him or them.
Well, thank you, Prof. But just before we go, one clarification. We introduced you as Vice Chancellor, Federal University, Kebbi. But some people say, no, you were offered the position, but that you rejected it. What's the truth? Very briefly.
Yeah, the truth is that I was offered the appointment, I declined. I didn't reject.
Okay. Thank you
So
very much,
I don't know
Prof.
whether, Doctor, you get the sense, the difference between rejecting and declining.
Yes, I understand. Thank you, Prof.